right. I am watching the participant ticker climb very, very quickly. So to those that are with us already, thank you. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for being on time. We will give the rest of the crowds a little bit more, a couple more minutes to join. But in advance, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know time right now is as precious as ever. So thank you for spending it with Chris and I. And we were talking just before this too. If you hear a nasty cough from Chris, this is not coronavirus, and you can't hear your computer. Maybe pneumonia, he may be dying, we're not sure, but the good news is it's not coronavirus. So I think he's still bringing the energy.
I've gotten two negative COVID tests, so, and I know that means nothing these days, but I'm pretty confident it's not corona.
Good. Well, we're thinking about you, of course. We are starting to level out here, so we'll give people maybe another 30 seconds or so to join in.
Landon, there's some questions. There's some questions coming in asking if we can hear participants or if microphones are automatically turned off. I would assume microphones.
Yes, those are off. Those are off. As much as we love chaos around here, we feel like controlled chaos is a little bit better. So we'll let Chris and I kind of handle that part.
Right.
But no, please, if we will now go ahead and get started. It looks like the participants still slowly coming in, but largely leveled off. So first and foremost, again, thank you to everyone for joining us today. I am thrilled to be joined by frequent Ekos presenter, Chris Farmand of Small Batch Standards. Chris and I have been working together now for about a year, and he's been working with Ekos actually far longer than I have. So we're thrilled to be here today. Again, thank you for taking the time. And do you have any additional team members that you think might be interested in viewing this webinar that may not have been able to make it today, or if you want to see it yourself? It is being recorded, and we will send it to you after the session. To those of you that submitted questions in your registration form, thank you. For those of you that may not have, feel free to drop them in the Q&A function in your Zoom. Obviously, we anticipate a lot of questions coming up. There are a lot of people with us today. So we may not be able to get to all of your questions, but we will get to as many as we can. So again, please add freely into the Q&A section. We'll make sure we leave plenty of time at the end. So today we're talking about the Ekos and QuickBooks integration. I am joined here by the great Chris Farmand. And before sending it over to him, before he introduces himself, a quick background on me. My name is Landon. I've been with Ekos now for a little over a year. I actually joined on Halloween of 2019, which was a fun little initiation for a new employee. My responsibility at Ekos is primarily centered on building and managing partnerships that support our customers and support the industry as a whole. A big part of that is sourcing, executing, and growing integrations partnerships on our platform, like QuickBooks. So partners like QuickBooks drive a ton of value for Ekos customers. Because Ekos can connect to a best-in-class accounting system like QuickBooks, we can stay focused on what we do best, which is providing best-in-class business and inventory management software. So when these two systems are connected, you as the customer get access to the best software for each component of your business. We are explicitly not a do-it-all, jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none system. Our view is we want to connect into the best-in-class softwares for every component of your business. So many of you all out there are not currently customers of Ekos. So let's start at the very, very beginning. What is Ekos? Ekos is an end-to-end business management software that helps craft businesses better manage their inventory, production, sales, and accounting processes. We give you a real-time view of the facility to track on-hand inventory and manage production workflows. We give you data and insight into profitability by product, which allows you to make better business decisions related to your production and sales. Additionally, our forecasting tools allow you to order ahead on raw ingredients and purchasing material or packaging materials so that your businesses always stay ahead of your production processes. We are cloud-based, so your team can access the platform anytime, anywhere, and from any device. So whether you're on the production floor or out in the field selling, you can stay on top of your data in real time without having to juggle notebooks, Post-it notes, with a dreaded email or voicemail to self, which I am still an offender of. So we also take all the data from your business to automatically generate TTB and excise tax reports. For any of you out there that have done that yourselves, you know how much of a pain that is, both from a time and a mental health standpoint. So that reporting capability will save you hours, if not days, in generating those reports. Lastly, and what we're here to talk about more today, we take all of this business data and sync it seamlessly over to your accounting platform. This allows you to pull yourself out of your books on a day-to-day basis so that you can focus on the business itself. So that's a lot of functionality covered on one slide. What does all of that really do for your business? Ekos offers unlimited user logins, and just as a matter of best practice, we highly encourage our customers to get all back of house staff, essentially anyone who's not in the tap room or the tasting room, to fully adopt Ekos. And by the way, that includes people like Chris, your CPAs, your bookkeepers, your consultants. We want everyone in your business management ecosystem to fully adopt Ekos. With your team working in one place in real time, you're able to work much more cohesively as a single unit without having to chase down information from any number of areas from different teams. Ultimately, this is going to make your team more collaborative, more efficient, more productive, and ultimately more profitable. So because every piece of data generated within your business from the moment that you purchase ingredients all the way through the sale of your finished goods is captured in one place, you're equipped with better data and better insights so that you can actually make better business decisions. So I do want to give Chris the opportunity to tell his story, but first I'm going to make him blush for a moment. We're looking for operational or accounting services or financial guidance. Chris is among the very best at what he does. Chris is a truth teller. He's not going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to challenge the status quo, and he's going to push you to innovate. We've been working with Chris for years now, and there's a reason that you continue to see him on any speaking engagement that we do. Not only is he a subject matter expert on finance and accounting, but he is constantly pushing his clients to innovate. And he also really pushes them to be proactive with business management strategy. And one last thing on Chris, and I know I'm running over here, Chris, but please, to everyone out there, do yourself a favor. Sign up for his newsletter, sbstandard.com. It is one of the few newsletters that I literally read top to bottom, word for word on a week in, week out basis. I promise it's not boring accounting stuff. It is all things business management. So, Chris, over to you. Please top that.
Landon, I swear, every time I do one of these, your intro gets better and better. So I appreciate that very much. Yes. Thank you again to Ekos. I enjoy speaking at any opportunity they give me. My name is Chris Farmand, and I am the founder of the Small Batch Standard. I did spend 7 years at a traditional CPA firm. And actually, October 1st, 2010 was our 10-year anniversary. So October 1st, 2010, we opened in 2010. October 1st, 2020 was our 10-year anniversary. And, I came into the brewing industry because I was a fan of non-alcoholic fermentation, and I began working with a brewery and recognized a huge opportunity and a big problem that needed to be solved for the brewing industry. So been following that passion ever since and have been growing very well. Next slide, please. Yep. So we're the leading financial, tax, and growth consulting option for head-of-the-class breweries and distilleries. We have spent the last decade working with over 100 craft breweries across the U.S., and our main goal is to help craft breweries grow profit. because at the a lot of people talk about top line revenue, and top line revenue is important, and we can celebrate gains with revenue. But at the end of the day, profit is what we keep. So we that's what we focus on, how to gain more profit for the breweries. Yeah. All right. So when Ekos asked me to speak about this, I thought about it long and hard and said, why do we use QuickBooks Online? Why do we recommend QuickBooks Online as a software, primarily in the brewing and distilling industry? But even if I wasn't, if I wasn't focusing on this industry, I still would use the software. And the reason we do that is because it's industry-leading general ledger and accounting software. We view QuickBooks Online as the hub or the center point or the reporting module for all things for other apps in the ecosystem. So QuickBooks Online, if you speak to your accountant, they may not be big fans of it because they're remembering the QuickBooks Online from 2009, 2010. Intuit has done a phenomenal job of bringing QuickBooks Online pretty close to desktop. As a matter of fact, I think there's only one or two functionalities that are missing from comparing it to desktop. And those functionalities can be backfilled with third-party software. So we are, this is, can you go to the next slide, Landon? This is part of our required software stack for any brewery or distillery that we work with, along with Ekos, along with a POS system, and along with Bill.com. Within the brewing industry, within the distilling industry, cider, wine, you can find ERP systems out there. And what an ERP system is it's going to be a big, clunky, big, I already said big. It's a big, clunky, expensive software package, which is super complicated to use. And what we have reverted to, which has been successful for all of our customers, is what we call a best of breed software package. And best of breed software begins with the accounting package, because I'm an accountant. If you were a manufacturer, it would begin with the manufacturing software. If you were a retailer, it probably would begin with your point of sale system. But for us, it begins with accounting. And then we go find the best of breed for manufacturing, point of sale, Bill.com, AP, document management. And with that, we have found that our accountants or your accountant can best serve you if they are, if you're in this ecosystem where you're not tied down to one main product, but you're tied down to what's the best in each class. Cool. Next slide. So why QuickBooks Online? QuickBooks Online is the user interface, the UI is very easy to use. As I mentioned before, they have done a phenomenal job of bringing it up to where desktop is with the functionality. The second reason we like QuickBooks Online is there's no software updates. It's software as a service. It's in the cloud. You just show up, you go to a browser, and it pops up. The third reason we love QuickBooks Online is the live bank feeds. Okay, the live bank feeds allow us to reconcile and catch any errors throughout the month as we're doing the accounting. This makes the monthly close more comprehensive and actually quicker. So instead of getting the traditional bank statement at the end of the month and going in and catching everything or entering everything when that paper statement comes in, or you download it when it's actually available, what QuickBooks Online is going to do, it's going to pull those transactions in seamlessly, and you're going to be able to code those as you go along. Another reason why we love QuickBooks Online is the reporting is standard and it's super easy to use. We have stock reports that we will create either for owners or investors. We have reports that we can save for banks, or we just use the standard reports. The last thing that I didn't put on here, the reason we love QuickBooks Online is all the apps, right? The App Store and the integration that they have made with Ekos and a ton of other companies to really, once again, you get that best of breed depending on what you're trying to determine. For brewery manufacturing, hands down, it's Ekos. For point of sale, most of our customers use Square and Arrived. They have registration systems. They have AP systems. They have document management systems. They have CRMs. So all of this stuff that can be integrated into QuickBooks. So all your software is speaking to each other. Next slide, please. Okay. There's been a lot of questions. There's been a lot of questions about desktop I've seen popping up. We grew up on desktop. Any accountant that you speak to grew up on desktop, can probably function with it with a blindfold, can operate it with a blindfold. What I encounter in the brewing industry is breweries getting the manufacturing, the wholesaler, the highest package that Intuit offers, and then they begin building assemblies to try to replace what Ekos can do. It doesn't work that way. I can get into the super details of why it doesn't work. And I've seen some pretty complicated assemblies built out, but there's many issues with building assemblies because you're not taking into a factor the fluid manufacturing process that Ekos has taken into consideration while building their software. Reports that are critical to the success of our customers are margin per SKU, margin per barrel, inventory values, change in inventory. All of this is delivered to us in very nice reports, which we take, we download, we digest, and then we can present to customers. All this is presented to us from Ekos, and then we're able to do that. So yeah, calculating cost per barrel, cost of goods sold, inventory values. It's not, I don't know how, I've never seen it successfully done in QuickBooks Desktop. So that's kind of my take on that. I know Ekos does sync with QuickBooks Desktop, and I'm all about that. I think that's great. I think for people that are working with older accountants, that would be a very easy sell for them. But moving that older accountant to online may be a harder sell, but we love the integration with online. It just makes sense. It just works.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So I'll talk more about the QuickBooks integrations, both with online and desktop, and the very, very small nuances between both. Ekos and QuickBooks have been integrated for years now. Again, we say accounting is one of the core pillars of what we do, not because we are an accounting software explicitly, but because we bundle up all of the data that comes into your business and spit it out into the accounting software so that you're not in your books. So as today's attendance would suggest, the Ekos QuickBooks integration is our most highly adopted integration at Ekos. We did for those of you that saw our white paper on the typical tech stack that the brewing and cider industry use, 90 to 95% of our customers are currently on QuickBooks. And candidly, that is a number that climbs even higher when you isolate only for US customers. So QuickBooks has almost been universally adopted across the industry. Now, internationally, is Zero a little bit more prevalent? Yes, it is. And there are pockets within the US that use Zero as well. But QuickBooks, the data shows that it is overwhelmingly the dominant choice for craft businesses. So at its core, the Ekos QuickBooks integration takes every piece of data generated by your business and syncs it seamlessly over to QuickBooks. And of course, we still recommend that you monitor your books, ideally with the help of someone like Chris, or your CPA, your bookkeeper, any consultants in your world. But this integration does allow you to eliminate any manual data entry into your books so that you can instead focus on the business itself. So in addition to saving you 15 to 20 hours per month on just data entry and data reconciliation, the automatic syncing of data to QuickBooks also ensures that the data itself is clean and accurate and not subject to manual error. So first, how exactly does it work? So the Ekos team will work with you to set up what will be called your financial accounts in Ekos. These financial accounts will map directly to your chart of accounts in QuickBooks, which enables the transmission of customer and vendor details, credit memos, invoices, inventory receipts, and journal entries. So with that sync, all inventory production and sales processes and data will still be managed in Ekos, not in QuickBooks. QuickBooks is then left to serve as your accounting system. That's where you're making and sending payments. You're handling your accounts payable and accounts receivable. For QuickBooks Online users, and this is what Chris was referencing earlier, QuickBooks Online users, the data between Ekos and QuickBooks will sync automatically every 4 to 6 hours. Now, QuickBooks Online users are, of course, welcome to sync more frequently manually. If you're just sitting in your office and you want to see what's happening in real time, you can still sync the systems more frequently than that. For desktop users, however, the sync does need to be activated manually via a desktop sync application. So the core logic of the integration is largely the same. You're still getting the same data transmission from Ekos to QuickBooks. The primary difference between the two is with QuickBooks Online, which I know Chris recommends, that sync is going to happen automatically. With QuickBooks Desktop, it just has to be initiated manually. So Chris, before moving on, what are some of the best practices that you recommend when your clients are connecting QuickBooks and Ekos?
With Ekos?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So when we encounter a new QuickBooks Online file, what we will do is we'll take a look at the chart of accounts, and we have a recommended chart of accounts that we have. That we will suggest to our customers. It's touchy when you've been used to a set of chart of accounts, and then we will gradually change customers over to our recommended, but we rely on Ekos's standard chart of accounts, and actually our office speaks in that language when we're doing internal education, when we're doing internal communications. When the sync process starts, Ekos will ask you to put in a certain set of inventory assets, sales accounts, cost of goods sold accounts, and once they verify that, they will go ahead and you'll send them over a copy of the chart of accounts. They'll verify it, and then they'll set the sync up. And we have found that we've encountered one customer that just they went in and edited all their chart of accounts. It was a mess. It was a giant mess. And so not only do we speak in the Ekos chart of account terms, we've also built our metrics around those as well. So we go off of what you guys have requested and just go from there and set it up.
Awesome. Thank you. So again, quick quote from our friends at Wolf's Ridge Brewing, just about the time savings that they generate, 5 to 10 hours a week. That's a lot. I mean, that's very substantial. I would say, again, as I mentioned earlier, your time saved on this can really be anywhere from 5 to 10 hours. That's probably heavy, but even on the low end with some of our smaller customers, it's still probably saving 4 to 5 hours a week at an absolute minimum. And I know this is a question that's come up already, whether or not if you have a bookkeeper, do you need this integration? Is it still going to save you time? Yes, your bookkeeper still has a role to play, but syncing these two applications is ultimately going to save you money because you can let them be more efficient with their time, so they're not chasing down data from 2 different systems, or who knows where else, if there are notebooks in play, spreadsheets in play, post-it notes, etc.
Yeah, Landon, I want to speak to that for a second, and maybe it goes into this slide, but I'm shocked at how many breweries are on Ekos that don't sync. And if we encounter it all the time, if we begin working with that brewery, that is one of the first things that we do, once again, because our accountants are so reliant on the numbers going back and forth, and not only just the numbers going back and forth and doing the work, but troubleshooting any errors. Our system is just built on numbers consulting, and if we don't have those numbers from Ekos, then we can't give good advice. So it's critical that you set the sync up. And I don't even know why I don't even know why a brewery wouldn't set it up. If you just contact the support and follow their instructions, it'll do everything for you. You really can't screw it up. Right?
Yeah,
Am I right?
That's a really important point. Yeah. So another question we've gotten is, do you have to be tech savvy to set up this integration? Absolutely not, because we do it for you. So we will help you set up your financial accounts. We'll help you map Ekos over to QuickBooks. Once the two are set up, it's hands off. You never really have to intervene between the two. Those syncs, again, for online users, the syncs happen automatically. But even for desktop users, it's still happening via the click of a button, and there's no additional reconciliation that you need to do on a manual basis. So, Chris, in the interest of not reading directly from the slides here, what are some other ways that you see this integration drive value to your clients day in and day out?
I mean, the biggest value is our ability to close the books in a timely manner and then communicate the results so decisions can be made. Other than that, the ancillary values are inventory management, right? We require an inventory count of raw materials, package, and merchandise each month. You guys make it really organized and clean how to do that. The cost per SKU report that I was talking about, the cost per finished goods, right? Being able to get that and then also do an analysis over a number of batches and say, does this make sense? Does this not make sense? What happened at this batch? These are all just critical components of running the business once you're past the chaos of the day-to-day. So really that's the biggest key, is that the software is willing and able to send the information over. So a higher and better use can be done with that data.
Okay. So we talked earlier about the value of connecting best-in-class platforms. QuickBooks, huge component of that, but it doesn't stop there. So we also connect to Square and Arrive for point of sale and e-commerce transactions from our wine folks out there. We will also be connecting to Commerce 7, as well as other wine-specific DTC platforms. To cut off any questions in advance, we will be considering additional integrations beyond that. As of right now, we don't have any immediate plans. Square and Arrive do capture a big part of our customer base. So if you are interested in switching and connecting your systems, let me know, and I can help introduce teams appropriately. So in the center of this connected ecosystem shown here, we have Ekos. As Chris has mentioned, this is your system of record for inventory, accounting, sales, and production data. Whether you're selling on-premise or online, Square and Arrive will send transaction and payment data over to Ekos, which will then generate an invoice to deplete the inventory, account for your cost of goods sold, and then generate the journal entry to be sent over to QuickBooks. So the core value drivers for this additional connectivity remain largely the same as what you've heard so far. It's eliminating double entry of data. It's streamlining processes and being more efficient, providing more accurate data so that you can make better business decisions. So Chris, we talk a lot about the automation of basic accounting practices here. I'm going to ask you a semi-rhetorical question. Are we putting you out of a job, or are these integrations creating value for you as well as you service your clients?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, so I encourage everyone after this webinar, and whoever listens to this recording, I want you to go to your accountant and I want you to say, in the next 7 days, we are going to sync this software with our QuickBooks. We've been using this software forever. It's going to give us valuable information. It's going to help us with understanding our numbers. You're not going to be scratching your head at the end of the year when we do an inventory adjustment. It's all going to be okay. So that's the challenge I'm putting out to everyone who is registered for this call and all the people who have recorded. Just have the conversation. No, you're not putting us out with a job, because really we're moving into a technology, all accounting is moving into a technology direction where the accountants have to have accounting knowledge, they have to have tax knowledge, and they also have to have technology knowledge. The industry that we serve, there are so many better things that the owners or the office managers can be doing to generate revenue, which hopefully means to profit. It just sometimes makes more sense to outsource. And if this was a simple bakery, or if this was a simple kiosk in a mall selling cell phone cases, maybe we could do Bookkeeper 365. But we're talking about a brewery, which really has 5 business units under one roof. It's complicated. Ekos just makes it that much less complicated. So this industry is not, it requires a level of support, and any technology integration that people can offer is even better.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to kind of fly through this next little bit to make sure because we're already approaching over on time. So we're going to fly through this next little bit to make sure we get to your questions. So how to get started. First of all, let me say that Chris and I work very, very closely together. So if you want to get in touch with Chris, I'm going to go from memory here. I think Chris at sbstandard.com.
That's correct.
That's good enough evidence if I can pull that off the top of my head. You can reach me as well at Landon at goekos.com. If you want to get in touch with Chris to talk about Ekos, if you want to get in touch with me to talk to Chris, we communicate regularly enough that we can route you any which way you need to go. If you're looking to get started with Ekos, there are a couple ways you can do that. Number one, go to our website, fill out the very brief lead form that will immediately put you in touch with our sales team, and someone will reach out to you probably same day, depending on what time of day you're able to do that. There will also be a follow-up email with this webinar. You can reply directly to that. Our sales team will get in touch with you, or again, you can email me, Landon at goekos.com, and whether you're looking to get started with Ekos, have questions about Ekos, or anything else, I can at least help point you in the right direction. So onboarding for new Ekos customers, typically it takes about 4 weeks to have your full team up and running and comfortable in Ekos. For teams that are especially focused, if you have somebody like Chris on your team, that can certainly be compressed and accelerated, but we will have a dedicated success team that is there with you every step of the way and really working with you hand in hand to make that onboarding process as smooth and seamless as possible. We also have a support team that responds same day to almost any request that comes in. As far as the actual QuickBooks integration goes, for new customers, we will typically wait to connect Ekos and QuickBooks until the very end of your onboarding journey. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that you are comfortable using Ekos first, because the minute you start putting bad data, or maybe somebody on your sales team under the bus, the minute somebody from your sales team starts inputting bad data into Ekos and that gets spit out into QuickBooks, you want to keep your books clean. And so we want to spend those first few weeks making sure you're comfortable with Ekos, and then towards the end, we'll connect you over to QuickBooks. And now speaking to existing customers as well, our team will walk you through that step by step. So we will help you set up your financial accounts in Ekos to map directly to your chart of accounts in QuickBooks. And it's really a pretty seamless process. You don't need to be tech savvy. There's not a whole lot that goes into that. So Q&A, we have a ton of questions. So thank you to everybody for your engagement. If we don't get to your questions, then just email me afterwards, Landon at GoEkos, or again, you can email Chris as well, Chris at sbstandard.com. So Chris, I'm going to let you answer this first question. How do my QuickBooks accounts need to be organized to get the most out of the integration?
Which question is it? I'm going through. Are you in the Q&A or in the chat?
This is a question that came through on a registration form.
Okay.
How do my QuickBooks accounts need to be organized to get the most out of the integration?
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, just follow Ekos's lead on this. They've done a very good job of establishing chart of accounts that once you are integrated and syncing, you're not going to encounter any issues. You're not going to encounter any errors. And if you're using their accounts, they can quickly troubleshoot it. So other than the asset accounts, the revenue accounts, and the cost of goods sold accounts, your chart of accounts can have whatever they want, really. It's up to you it's up to you regarding what you want on there, but it's critical that you follow their template of accounts.
Two other questions that came through that I can knock out very quickly that came through on the registrations. What accounting software is best for a craft brewery? This is a QuickBooks webinar. QuickBooks is by far and away the most prevalent accounting software among our customers. People like Chris, most of our CPA partners probably recommend QuickBooks. We also integrate with Xero. If that was something you wanted to evaluate separately, I would say that Xero is probably more prevalent among our international customers. So Australia and New Zealand, especially Canada to an extent, and then some South American countries, European countries as well. What would you recommend between QuickBooks Desktop or Online? Chris has already touched on this largely. Online, you're going to get a much more connected ecosystem with all kinds of other apps that you can tie into your books. And from an Ekos perspective, the online, if you're with QuickBooks Online, that will allow an automatic sync of your business data from Ekos to QuickBooks every 4 to 6 hours. QuickBooks Desktop works just as well, again, with the small exception that you have to do a little bit of manual intervention with the clicking of a sync application. So now we are getting to what looks like 50 questions-ish. So we're gonna try to get to this as best I can. Let's see. So somebody anonymously said, if we use QuickBooks Desktop and can't switch, can we still use this? Yes, of course. QuickBooks Desktop integration works just as well as QuickBooks Online. Just email help@goekos.com and we'll help you get set up with your financial accounts to map over your QuickBooks Desktop account. I'll mark that as a check.
Landon, I have one right here. It says, does the integration work with Right Networks? The desktop integration.
Does that work with what?
With the Right Networks. Right Networks is a hosted desktop, hosted cloud service. I would imagine it would work because we're running it on our server and it works on our desktop.
Yeah, I would imagine it would. I don't want to answer. I don't know that I know Right Networks well enough to answer that specifically.
Okay.
But my inclination would be yes. That I'm aware of, we've never had an instance where somebody has QuickBooks Desktop and has not been able to connect to Ekos.
Okay, so I'll speak from my experience. We've created our own Right Networks in our office. It's internal and it works on our server. So,
okay, good.
Yep.
Let's see. Is there a cost? Is there a cost? Is there a cost? So answering that quickly, if you go on our website on the pricing page, the QuickBooks integration is a part of our quote unquote plus pricing package. So we do price our product based on the value we deliver to our customers. For anybody that's been with Ekos historically, you probably already have your accounting system integrated with Ekos, and we are all for that. For anybody new that's coming in, we'll get you in on a we can take care of that for you. It's again in our middle pricing tier. We do have a pricing package available without QuickBooks, where we've seen or businesses more interested in that. A lot of times they're a little bit more like lab focused. So for example, in the wine industry, you may have an industry giant like Gallo, who has these little production labs that still need to manage their production processes and their inventory processes, but they don't have any sort of sales arm. So they're not necessarily worried about getting data, accounting data into their QuickBooks. It's just a production management, inventory management software. But really in the day-to-day management of your business, we do highly recommend connecting to your books because it is incredibly valuable. Chris, and if you see questions in here that you want to jump on, fire away because there are a ton in here.
Yeah. It says, does Ekos work for wineries?
Yes, it does.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Ekos just launched a winemaker product earlier this year. So we are up and running in the industry. We've had a number of clients join us over the summer and fall, which has been a lot of fun. We've enjoyed the industry. We've enjoyed getting to know more people there. For us, it fits perfectly within our broader vision of wanting to enable and empower craft producers, and wine is very much a part of that. You've got a lot of small to mid-sized businesses that they feel pressure from the top, much like in the brewery space, where you have these larger brands like Constellation and Gallo that are putting pressure on the smaller and mid tiers of the market, and so we want to help those businesses run more efficiently and more profitably. So yeah, we do. It's been a really exciting entrance into wine. We've had a lot of interest. If you're a winemaker out there or a brewery, any business you run and you want to learn more about Ekos, again, feel free to go to our website. You can email me directly. There are any number of ways to get in touch with us. We self-distribute. I feel like it's an arrived question. Let's see. We self-distribute our wholesale sales handled through Ekos or arrived. We are, for those out there that are interested, we're also doing a webinar with Arrived at 4 o'clock Eastern. So feel free to jump onto that as well.
The answer to that question is it goes through Ekos. Yes,
it goes through Ekos. Arrived is direct consumer sales only.
Sorry to cut you off, Landon. I thought you didn't know the answer to that. Are there tiers of QuickBooks Online? Which do you suggest? I believe you have to be on QB Plus or QB Essentials. I think QB Essentials, QuickBooks Online Essentials is the lowest package you should be on.
Seeing another question here from an anonymous attendee. We currently use a POS system that does not integrate with Ekos. Can our POS sales be imported manually into QuickBooks Online? Again, anything related to inventory, whether it's finished goods, raw ingredients, or otherwise, we recommend running through Ekos. So what you would do there, first of all, if you are interested in learning more about Square or Arrived, please let me know and I can put you in touch with the appropriate folks there. Both companies are full of great people. Second, the way you would handle that right now is you would create an invoice in Ekos with your aggregate sales data from usually the prior day is what we recommend. And then it operates just like any other wholesale order in Ekos, where you have your depleted inventory and it creates the accounts for the cost of goods sold and creates the journal entry for it. Here's a good question. We've been running QuickBooks Online and Ekos as separate systems. What happens when customer and vendor accounts are synced? Will we be able to match them up? Chris, you want to take that, or you want me to jump on it?
Sure. I can take it.
Yeah.
So when you sync, and correct me if I'm wrong, Landon, but if the names match up, right? If the characters match up and the space matches up, they will merge. Mm-hmm. However, if they're spelled differently, or if the spaces are spaced differently, it will duplicate, and from there you would just merge them in QuickBooks.
Right. Yeah, and so we try to take care of that in the setting up of your financial accounts to make sure everything matches appropriately, even those little small character or spelling tweaks, because we do want to get ahead of that. Like Chris said, you can merge them in QuickBooks, not the end of the world. But let's say you are already syncing the two systems and you create a new customer or vendor in Ekos that doesn't yet exist in your QuickBooks. That's fine. The sync still happens just as it normally would, and that customer or vendor is then created in your QuickBooks account. So you do not need to, for every customer that's created in Ekos, you do not need to create it manually in QuickBooks. All of that is done automatically. But good question. From Holly, is there a way to only transfer over a specific date range? For example, transfer everything starting in 2021, but leave historical standalone Ekos and QuickBooks data alone. So the answer to that is yes. You can choose the period for which you want to sync data. We also have closing periods in Ekos so that you can actually, even once you're actively integrating between the two, you can actually freeze out the integration to make sure inventory is not being retroactively manipulated, which gums up your accounting data. So yes, all of the sync dates between the two platforms are highly customizable. Couple questions about other point of sale systems. Again, we may look at, let me first say this. Ekos is going to become a more open and connected system. So we will be adding a lot of integrations over the next year and beyond that. We do not have specific names for point of sale systems that we are looking to connect right now. So if you are looking to connect your point of sale system, let's say starting January 1st or March 1st of 2021 to Ekos, your best bet is going to be Square or Arrive. Beyond that, honestly, it's like anything, it's up for discussion. It's a matter of time and resources, because we know that there is a lot of room for us to continue to deliver value. And it's just a matter of how we spend that time. So yeah, be on the lookout for more integrations coming from us. But to answer your question succinctly, Clover, Toast, those will not deliver, in the early weeks and months of 2021 in all likelihood. So Chris, I'm seeing a question here. It's very in-depth, and I don't want to go too far into the weeds here, but can you speak about how you use the reporting functionality in Ekos?
How do we use reporting?
Yes.
Oh, buddy, there's a lot. So here are the reports that we're beholden to each month. All right. So we look at barrels sold per month. That's the first report that we'll look at, just to get a barometer of how much beer was sold that month and compare it to dollar sales. Inventory on hand as of a certain date, huge for us. We track that back to QuickBooks, and we will hunt down any errors or any discrepancies. Finished goods cost per SKU is a big report that we look at a lot. And then the variety of sales reports or invoice reports. I would say when we're preparing the state excise tax, each state's different, and they're typically looking in gallons. So that's a minimum 2 to 3 report pull, and then maybe some conversion, and then it's inputted onto that state form or state website. So I would say biggest reports we look at are inventory, costs per SKU, and then the various wholesale sales.
Awesome.
Yep.
And we are up against time here. I see a question from Chris, and I'm going to plug you again. Another Chris, not you, Chris. Can you walk us through how we best operate an on-site taproom and bottle shop? Talk to Chris, talk to Ekos. We both Chris Farmand and our Ekos team, we touch a lot of businesses. We at Ekos have 1,500 customers today. Chris, as he mentioned, has worked in depth on a business management basis with 100 breweries over the last decade. And Chris, I believe you currently work with roughly 50 on a long-term basis. So that is a lot of, market coverage between us. So reach out to Ekos if you have questions about anything in your business. Reach out to Chris if you have any questions about your business and how to operate. Again, I'm going to plug that newsletter because it's awesome. He talked about literally everything from the tap room to, I know you did a series recently about canning and the great canning crisis of 2020 and 2021.
Yep.
It is not just accounting. So go to Chris's website, sbstandard.com, sign up for that newsletter. Again, it is arguably the best out there. So again, I apologize for everyone who threw in questions. It looks like there are still almost 30 that are unanswered. Thank you for the engagement. That's awesome. And I know I speak for both of us in saying that we really appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. I know times are hard right now, so thank you. If there's anything that either of us can do, please let us know.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Yep, Chris, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
You're awesome, Landon. Thank you, Ekos.